I wrote this to give a talk to a women's group who invited me to talk about coping with anxiety during the COVID-19, how it's changed our lives. But the rider was that I had to make it fun. Now, there was a challenge. Okay. 25 to 30% of people have increased anxiety over the last few months. People who had existing conditions have been much more susceptible and needed more support. Well, that makes sense when you think about it. We all know people who've suffered from some level of anxiety, nerves, or odd phobias. Something in the past has caused this. And when something major comes up, they are much, much more susceptible. The underlying anxiety has been exacerbated by all the lockdowns and the adverse news. There's been a big increase in incidents of self-harm and suicide at present. Apparently, I read on a stat this morning, there's been 200% increase in problems. And the thing is that people need help. Everyone reacts differently, but the following are common: worrying thoughts, or suddenly having it flash through your mind, I can't cope. People are more emotional, they're nervous, they're helpless, frustrated, angry, sad. There's been physical changes, more headaches, muscle tension, aches and pains, rapid breathing, increased heart rate. I can certainly admit to the increased heart rate. It's gone up about 5 points. And it's hard to get it to relax, my heart to relax right down again. I have an underlying stress and anxiety. I think we all have. I went to the doctor for a checkup. He said, yes, it's still very much in the safe range, but it's just COVID. Then he said, are you drinking more? I said, well, yes. He said, of course you are. We all are. Okay. It's just the reaction even the calmest of us are having during COVID. A lot have stomach upsets. There's behavioural changes. Our appetites have changed. The energy levels. People get tireder. Our activity levels change. We have to have more isolation, and that has all sorts of different impacts on different people. Avoiding normal fun and having poor sleep. Sometimes people are choosing to avoid things. Yes, I've already said increased alcohol, but also used for other substances and eating more. There's been an enormous increase in eating more, cooking more when people have been at home not working, and a love affair with the fridge. But so many people have found the various changes overwhelming. They just felt trapped. And I found this picture and I thought that really explains it all. But I'm a therapist. I work with stress and anxiety, but I'm going to share the effect it had on me. After 2 or 3 weeks of this COVID stuff, I found myself in a very, very dark place. I realised I needed help, and then I stopped and thought, oh, blimey, that's my job. Okay, so I worked through what I do to treat my clients. I started by identifying what feelings I needed to change. Then I made a list of everything horrid that happened in the last 6 months. And that started with losing my best friend as a result of bushfire smoke. Looking at the list, I could see why I was upset. Too much had changed. Too much fuss about the dangers to people over 70. And yeah, it's a giveaway. I'm over 70. The loss of routine was huge for me. I normally have a very steady routine. On Mondays, I used to go to yoga. Tuesdays, gym with a personal trainer. Wednesdays was my business group. We had a brunch in town. Thursday was personal training again. Friday was yoga. And then all my client work was every afternoon. Big loss of routine. Almost everything disappeared. I was so missing my personal training at gym and regular yoga. So I bought a rowing machine to help. And I put a timetable up on my wall. This is what I was doing at what times. But the rowing machine got lost and it took 2 months to arrive. And that actually added to the anxiety levels. I was desperately missing my family and friends. Easter was bizarre. A lot of my in-laws are Italian, and we used to a very large Easter festival on Easter Sunday, with a huge number of people all having a massive feast. This year, Easter Sunday, my daughter and her husband and kids came to visit in the street outside my fence. And I stood about 1.5 meters back inside my fence so that we could say hello to each other, but not get close at all. Hey, I'm a hugger. This was so hard. I live in a retirement village, and bless their socks, they decided to lock us in with security guards at the gate. Hey, was totally ridiculous. My personal journey made me reassess. How do I want to live my life? The virus is probably here for a long time yet. I am not a precious ancient exhibit to be locked away to keep me safe. I don't want to keep being told I'm over 70. I don't care. I am me and life is for living, and I'm damn well going to live and do it as safely as I can, but I'm going to live a full life. My birthday rolled round, and this was a card one of my daughters gave me. Yep, that hit the right spot. It was a great trigger for change. So moving on and finding purpose, I launched into finding a completely new way of helping people with the 2 big problems emerging in COVID. And these are anxiety and weight management. Apart from the anxiety, so many people have put on weight since lockdown started. A lot of this is just the dummy effect. Comfort comes from what goes into your mouth. It has from the very first moments of your life. Oh, this is the other huge comfort I have. Her name's Missy, and she's beautiful. A third therapy has also been increasing, and that's quit smoking. Most of the smokers do want to see me face to face. So now I've set up a clinic in my front porch with a cafe blind and also a heater once I managed to get a PowerPoint in. That's the thing. I'm not having people inside the house yet. I don't feel comfortable and safe doing that at this stage. The hypnotherapy online actually works just as well as face-to-face, but so many people doubt it. Provided people use headphones or earphones, or I'm talking directly into their ears, it works just as well. The limitations can be interesting with mobile phones because that's the only internet a lot of people have. And filling in intake and information forms, like you have to when you first go to a new doctor, can be interesting. I now take them, I get them to dictate it. I put the things online so they could download the form, but it doesn't happen very often. So we just dictate it. And for the signature, I write in as dictated and the date. Holding the phone steady is also funny because it often just falls off. And there we are with an absolutely hilarious situation where the phone has fallen over, and either it's fallen forward and it's completely blank, or it's fallen on its side, or the client becomes totally upside down, and I'm hypnotizing someone upside down, or all I can see is the ceiling. It really makes a big difference if I can see the client the whole way through the hypnotherapy. Otherwise, it works very well. Once I got used to that interesting phenomenon, it was fine. There's a couple of interesting stories about online therapy. I had one guy who came in before COVID, fortunately, because he had massive problems with mobile phones. Every time he touched a mobile phone and someone just took his old phone away and gave him one of these new smartphones, he would get a panic attack. Thankfully, we fixed that because he came back to me later with another panic attack. And it was a pretty major panic, full-blown panic attack. And we had to use his mobile phone for the therapy. And it worked, apart from falling over, so that he ended up standing on his head halfway through the therapy. But online, I find slightly more tiring because it takes more energy to really connect with the client. A computer's okay, but a phone is very small. Hypnotherapy works when the client feels that I feel what they feel. It's an energetic connection. So I've developed a new way because effective mental help is needed more than ever. There's a need to change, and I want to give more. Some people feel that online they get less of me, but in my new treatment, I want to completely counter this. I want to give more. And too many of them are short of money. That was another interesting problem. Yeah, it needed a completely different approach. A website where people can access help at any time of the day or night at their own pace. They can go as fast or as slow as they like. Oh, with the proviso that the getting into the things have to be a week, spaced out a week apart. So people don't try and gallop through and get to the end before they've done the beginning. But then they can go back over things anytime they like, over months, if that fits their needs. There's a lot more help given to understand what's going on in your mind that allows anxiety to grow and become a problem. And the new program explains how you become anxious and why people are so much more susceptible to anxiety than others. Plus, of course, there's hypnotic and relaxation downloads every single week. And I'm available for help if necessary. I'm only a phone call away. And this does work so much better. Clients who've had both tell me that this is tremendous. It's much, much better because the added information goes on mulling away in the background. It's not designed to be a quick fix or a band-aid. If you need an instant fix, you need to go to the doctor and take a short-term pill. This is a lifelong toolbox, giving you learning and training for your mind along the way with the weekly hypnotherapy. But it does completely avoid the cognitive therapy approach, which takes people back over traumas over and over and over again, really re-traumatizing people every time. And yes, the price needs to be affordable. So I've billed it automatically over 10 months, and that keeps the monthly amount very manageable. And I do provide some quick fixes for emergencies. And I'm going to give you a couple of quick fixes at the end of this video. So let's think about the physiology of anxiety, because when we understand what's involved in generating anxiety, it makes sense. It's all about protecting ourselves from fear. It's an automatic response to protect ourselves. And the important parts for us are the hippocampus and the amygdala, which are in this little circle. That's where we respond to danger. That's where our body automatically keeps us safe. The hippocampus is just a librarian, catalogues all our memories, gives them a library number, if you like. And when it's overwhelmed and it can't cope because too much is happening at once, it calls in the security guard, the amygdala, which is right next door, and that turns on fight, flight, or freeze. This whole base of the brain is responsible for basic housekeeping. This bit is responsible for balance and coordination, and the rest of it, it's the earliest part of the brain to develop. It starts to develop before we're born and during the first few years, and it's very easily damaged with infant trauma. Some people are always more susceptible to anxiety. And the thing is that when unborn babies and very small children are in a traumatic situation, their hippocampus does not develop as many neurons. So the poor hippocampus has to work much harder to file and store. And then the overwhelm builds up in situations like the last 6 months. In my case, I really know about this deep down in my very being, because I had PTSD, which started in my very earliest childhood, making me more susceptible. I have cured my PTSD, but the impact on my hippocampus remains, and I can crash more easily. But I've been trained to handle it. And this is one way I help people. I teach them how to handle it if something comes up in future. I just want to talk briefly about the stages of grief and fear. Grief for the loss of normal, and fear for what might be coming in because normal has gone. And the stages of grief start off with shock, disbelief, and this enormous underlying fear. Well, the hippocampus and the amygdala are immediately triggered, aren't they? Of course they are. Then there's denial. And hey, we can see that alive and well. There are so many people stuck in this stage with all their conspiracy theories. And then bargaining. In Victoria in particular, the restrictions are clashing with their Declaration of Human Rights. That makes it very difficult. And anger, oh, can't we see this? The Black Lives Matter has been such a wonderful excuse to get out and express anger, extreme anger. And then there's depression. And finally, hopefully, we reach acceptance. We come out beyond the depression. We reach a stage where we accept a new normal. And this says it all. Why are the humans wearing muscles? Well, it's because they didn't learn to sit and stay. But sit and stay come more easily when people don't feel rebellious and angry because the rules are too strict. That's actually just good dog training. And the thing is that fear and anger are absolutely not logical. They are felt throughout your body. They're not just a conscious thought that you can send away. We are stuck with this virus and we need to learn to live with it. Sure, we might get a vaccine that might be 100% effective, or it might not. But life has still got to be fun, and we need to do it safely. Dining out and socializing, we are social creatures, but they need to be done safely. We need to be adaptable and find new ways to still earn a living if they can't find vaccines or treatments. Humans must have a purpose. We need a purpose deep in our absolute being. And achieving a new purpose forces some people to scale huge learning cliffs. Well, I certainly was forced into that situation when I decided on this new way of treating things. Some days I would turn off the computer and I would think, I'm never going to manage this. My head has turned into scrambled eggs. I don't believe there's a brain there anymore. Anyway, I got there. This is what I came up with. It's a new website. There's some information. Then there's one program called Escape from Anxiety. Anxiety and trauma are certainly not your fault, but it is your responsibility to heal yourself. It's no one else's, it's your responsibility. And healing doesn't just return us to who we are and how we were before the trauma. We become someone stronger and wiser. And in changing our lives, we're able to change and affect our whole family and community. And the aim of all my work is to help people identify the unconscious beliefs, how you learned them, and then you can deal with them. Relax and lose weight is the other problem, because we evolved our physiology and metabolism as cave people, and our two big threats then were cold and starvation. Our basic physiology hasn't changed, so when we're threatened, we go into fight, flight, or freeze mode, which slows our digestive system right down. And our bodies see diets as a starvation or famine and desperately try to retain fat. If we were threatened as cave people a long time ago, it was usually by cold or famine. So we've evolved bodies that retain fat, especially women, because women were needed to keep the species breeding. We had to have women. We had to have women who could survive starvation. When you get to the end of this, you can learn more by going into the program in a slightly muted down thing. You can't fully open it. Every session is locked, but you can see every session, all 7 of them plus some bonuses, and in the weight loss, all 8 of them plus some bonuses. Or if you choose to buy the program, you get a page that looks like this. You put your name in, or you put your own email in. That was mine. That comes up automatically if I go in. The payment option is actually $750 now if you want to pay up front, but you can also choose a monthly amount of $87 a month. But if you put in a coupon, and you can ring me and I'll give you the coupon, there's a $30 a month discount. There's a $300 discount on the pay up front. You pay by PayPal and agree to the terms of service and privacy policy. So that's the one you choose. But here's a quick first aid. I did suggest I would give it to you. Stress, anxiety, they're like blowing air into a balloon. You can keep on doing it and the balloon gets bigger and bigger as it holds more and more air, more and more stress. But unless you let it out fairly often, before it gets too full, it will eventually burst and you will become ill. One of the ways you can let it go is to just stop, be quiet, and think about what you can find to be grateful for. Even if it's, oh, well, I haven't actually died yet. It's raining outside, that's good for the garden. It's sunny outside and sun's wonderful. I've got something to eat for my next meal. I enjoyed one. There's so many things we can be grateful for. In my case right now, I can be grateful for this beautiful little dog who's still sitting on my lap. Another one is breathing. Take a deep, a very quick breath in right now. And how do you feel? It makes you feel tense and stressed, doesn't it? That's what you do when you're alarmed, you're frightened, you're ready to run or fight. But now, breathe out very, very slowly. And how do you feel? Breathing in, hold it, and breathe out slowly is just so relaxing. That brings in the opposite side of the automatic nervous system, the side that calms you down. It's the opposite to fight, flight, freeze. It's a counter. So that's what you need to do anytime something is a bit too much. Just breathe. And then I want you to just do a quiet meditation. Make sure you're comfortable. And imagine, you might want to close your eyes. You can leave them open or closed. And imagine you've been walking along and you come across a stream. And there's a little waterfall in with a pond in the middle. And another waterfall out on the other side. And you feel compelled to dip a foot in the water. You kick off your shoes and you put in your feet. It is so warmed. It's so warm. The sun is glorious and it's warm, this water. And so you feel compelled to go walk right into that pond. And you sit down, you can feel soft, crisp, clean sand under your feet. And you sit down and lie back. There's even a comfortable place to rest your head. And you just lie in that beautiful warm water. And it feels so good. And you allow all the stress and tension to just leave your body. Let everything you don't need anymore wash away out of your body, out of your mind. Just let it go. And you look around and you can see that the water's becoming murky, quite clouded. And that's all the stress that you don't need, everything you don't need anymore, leaving your body, going out into the water and down the second waterfall, out of your life, out of the pond. And you look around and you can see the water's becoming cleaner and cleaner. And that's right, because you feel so damn clean, so deeply cleansed right down to your very soul. And it feels so good, so very, very good. And you just lie there And then you take a deep breath and you slip right down under the water. It's like the water just rushes through you, taking every remaining bit of stress and anxiety out of your body, down the waterfall, out of your life, and you surface. Take a deep breath of fresh, clean air, and you feel so good. Oh, you feel wonderful. That's right. That's right. Then you stand up and step out of the water. There happens to be a thick, thirsty towel. So you wrap it round you and just stand there, drip drying in that wonderful sun. You feel so light, so clean, so refreshed. It feels good. It feels so good. And then you open your eyes and look around. And it feels good. And you feel different, so relaxed, so very relaxed. That's right. And you can do that anytime you like, in the shower or the bath at home. You can imagine your shower is beautiful warm water, warmed by the sun, washing all the stress right out of you, out of your body, down the drain, down to the sewage works, out of your life. Just let it go. You might let it go every night before you go to bed. Or you might do it in the morning to start the next day fresh, calm, and energized. And these are the websites. This is my main website, and this is the website to take you straight to my membership site, to that lovely new website. Thank you.